Good morning, good evening, or good night, folks. I'm your host, Simon Redhanded, and welcome back to Gaming Redhanded. So today, I figured I'm going to go over my build so far. I think we're about a week out before 2-star dungeons come out. I think it's a good time to talk about what I've been doing with my character, where I'm at, how I feel about my character so far in the game, and the rest of that stuff there. I'm playing a Sentinel, which is Staff and Greatsword. I'm almost 3,300 gear score. Now, when you're playing one of these off-meta builds like this, you kind of have to decide what you're going to be doing with this class and how you're going to play it. And I think you don't have a clear focus in mind of how you plan on playing your role on these classes that are a bit unorthodox. You'll struggle a bit, right? Because this is a ranged and melee class, which is half magic and half melee. The difficulty became like deciding how I'm going to really pull this thing off. I looked at some guides online and looked at what other people were doing, and people either lean heavily into one side or the other, whereas I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep my role hybrid. I wanted to be able to engage from a distance or close up, but also I didn't want to be glass. I wanted to keep a little bruiser playstyle going. So I wanted to be able to stay alive a bit longer than people think I should, and just stay in there and just cause a bit of disruption. I don't really need to get a lot of kills, but I do want to stay alive long enough to kind of disrupt the flow of things, right? So I think I kind of got my character to that point. The gear I've been focusing on so far is a bit half and half tanky and DPS oriented. I didn't want to surrender too much of my DPS, but I did want some survivability. So I was focusing on getting damage reduction, a lot of the pieces I was looking for. So I went with the Shock Commander's plate chest piece, with I wanted the damage reduction on that, the damage reduction on the Ebb and Roar Greaves, and I had damage reduction on the belt also from the Butcher's belt. And I will be getting Forsaken Embrace, which is the cloak that also adds damage reduction. There's some other pieces I wanted, but this build so far is strictly drops that you can get from dungeons. I don't have any boss drops here because I don't have a consistent method of getting boss drops, so I didn't want to plan a build around any boss drops at the moment. Call of Decimation, by the way, is technically a boss dropped item, but you can get this from Lithogram, which is where I got mine from. So far, this entire build here, everything has been gotten manually farmed from dungeons. I don't spend any money on this game. Everything is free to play. I'm almost where I want to be with this build. This game here has an interesting, I would say, stats and gearing system, right? Like, you have to really decide and have a clear focus on how you plan on doing damage and how you plan on staying alive. Now, doing damage is pretty simple. You don't have too many options. You have hit, you have heavy attack, and you have crit strike, right? And everyone's probably doing that. It doesn't matter what you're doing, from direct damage skills to even damage over time. A benefit from being accurate, being able to crit, and being able to do heavy attack damage. So doing your offense is pretty simple. Your defense becomes a bit of a problem because you have to decide really early on what you're going to focus on. Are you going to be focusing on evasion, or are you going to be focusing on endurance, which is critical damage reduction? There's also heavy attack evasion, which I've never seen this stat on any piece of gear that's dropped so far. I don't know if you can even build it. I don't know if you built for it. I wouldn't even plan for it, but it is the other stat, right? On this character here, because I'm playing staff and I have a powerful passive skill, well, active skill, I am building around evasion, and I decided to focus on melee evasion and range evasion. My melee evasion right now is planned around being around 1250 or so unbuffed. My range evasion will be around just under 1,000. And then in combination with Victorious Energy and the 460 it adds, I'll be hovering around 1,700 or so melee and ranged evasion. I wouldn't really say I have a build rotation going on here. I have 3 different setups I use. My first hotbar is used for when I'm just solo grinding, doing like nonsense contracts and shit like that outside. It's mostly AoE and stuff like that. Nothing here really matters too much. My second bar is what I use in dungeons. This is what I pull out when we're doing NCAT co-op dungeons. This is focused on a lot of single target DPS, and there's some stuff here to help with AoE clearing when there are mass pulls going on, but for the most part the goal here is to stack up burn stacks and do as much damage to the boss as I can. And then this is my PvP setup here. This bar is always in flux. I'm always adjusting and trying different skills out because I want to really understand my kit. I really wish I had more than 3 hotbars. I spent a lot of time swapping skills out. Like, this skill here is always in flux, where I always change it out, change specializations around to try to figure out when I should be using what, how good is this skill in certain situations. And I gotta tell you, there's a lot of skills in this kit altogether where it's like, I kind of wish I could put them all on, but I have found a useful combination for almost everything I've got in my kit. So I'm always messing around. Right now I've got Ice Tornado going. The only skill on these bars that never come off is Da Vinci's Courage. Victorious Energy is always on. These are the only 2 skills that I've never really taken off the debated because these are my only 2 survival skills in this kit. I screw around a lot with focus firebombs. I switch back and forth between this and serial firebombs because there's times where I do like stacking up my burn stacks, but being able to spread them out between different people. The only rotation I have is a bind to ascending slash to guillotine blade, and I have a lot of ways to get the bind, right? If I have a slow on the target and I use icebound tomb, because it's an AoE, if they're slowing anyone around, other targets will get bound. So recognizing that I bound somebody, I know I could go right in and go straight to ascending slash. I can also do it from precision dash and go right to ascending slash. I do have the traditional greatsword combo of, you know, stun, ascending slash, guillotine blade, but I can also just do it from any of my other bind skills. This can proc a bind and let me get to ascending slash. This can proc a bind, get me to ascending slash, guillotine blade. So having multiple methods of getting there. A guillotine blade is not on charge right now because I've been screwing around with certain things. I've been trying to find an answer for healers. The last couple of days I've been doing PvP in arena and finding like geared out healers, and I recognize that I need to get to heal reduction faster. So a lot of times I've been getting to guillotine blade and using judgment lightning to kill healers, and that's been kind of working out, but we're still messing with it, right? So but that's a different video. I don't use infernal meteor. I have it leveled up some, but the damage on this skill is awful. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to. I hear some people make the argument that this skill should be used for stacking up burn stacks, but quite honestly, it's fucking terrible for that. I don't think this skill's working the way it's intended. It reads as if it's supposed to be a giant nuke. Its cooldown is massive to match with the fact that it's supposed to be a giant nuke, but when you use this skill, its damage is less than focus firebomb, and focus firebomb's cooldown is 9 seconds. Right, this skill's cooldown is 46 seconds. It does a third of the damage. It takes longer to do. It leaves you exposed, costs more mana, and at the end of the day, you don't need this to get the 10 stacks. Some people argue, well, you could do one of these with infernal spec and you'll get 10 stacks after one cast. But yeah, you also get 10 stacks by fucking doing one serial firebomb and then a couple infernal waves, and you can get 10 stacks also. It's not worth putting this on your bar. Even in PvE, even against bosses, this is a shit skill. I don't know what's going on with Amazon Game Studio. Maybe they'll fix it, but it's been going on for a while now. Maybe they think the damage on this is acceptable, but you'll see that I've got video footage of me using this skill, getting it perfectly lined up and it doing fucking nothing. It's not worth putting on the bar. And once they change staff to give this skill healing reduction, all of its functionality will be completely washed from the board. This skill does not work, and until they turn into an actual nuke where this thing should be killing you, if you get caught by it, it should never be on your hotbar. So I'm gonna do a quick match while recording it. Let's go through what I'm using right now. Like I said earlier in the video, I wanted to throw back on Da Vinci's Chill. I haven't actually used this in a long time. So what I did is I went through, I moved some points around, I spec'd into having the chill, increased duration. I might end up removing the increased duration, but for now we'll leave it alone. I also got the charged guillotine blade going. I took off my icebound tornado and I put on the devastating smash just to have another CC. Then we're gonna go through and see how that feels. Now, just to give some tips when you start the arena, make sure you always look at who your opponents are. My team, I don't really care too much. They can do whatever the fuck they want. I don't care what their class setup is, but you need to know who you're facing, right? I usually mark all healers with an interest. Let's start with the feud. I mark all tanks with interest. There's no tanks. Oh, there's no tanks here. There's not a sentinel. Sentinels are rare. All right, let's go see what's going on here. That tornado skill is getting annoying to me. A lot of people using it though. See, I like going in there beginning because I disrupt a lot. I eat a lot of CCs. I don't die that often, so I don't really care. Don't have any cooldowns left. Rude ham. See, a lot of guys try to waste cooldowns on me, but I'm tankier than most people expect, so you don't end up going down, and they end up running around in circles, right? While you just wait. Now, that went a little longer than normal because we have a healer on our side, even though I didn't check. But I know how tanky I usually am. I'm not that tanky. Ah, he resisted. This guy's on his healing field. Bother with that. Now, I have my cooldown bubble, but I'm not going to use it. He's dead. He doesn't need a full charge. and he's by himself. Right now, you see this? My focus firebomb is bugged there. It won't release. I'm not even holding that right now. It's just bugged in this position. And it does that sometimes until you actually get CC'd. It's actually crazy that bug even exists. I've had it happen a few times where the skill literally just gets stuck there. Dead. I should have used my purification stone there. Let myself just eat that shit. I honestly thought I was going to survive long enough to get my Da Vinci's chill up, but then I realized there was like 8 seconds left on the cooldown. Ooh. Should probably run, bro. I don't have any cooldowns left for anybody. Auto attack this dude. Aw, didn't get a chance to finish him. So that's gonna be it for now, guys. I'm gonna be wrapping this up. I like the way the Sentinel's going. I'm gonna be sticking with this class for quite some time. I do have some other builds planned in terms of when the T2 weapons come out. You can go over on questlog.gg and find my character there. I don't have a locked in stone build guide there because I've been using questlog.gg as kind of just like a calculator reference page so I can know what I'm tracking with my own gear. So you can look at what I'm currently using, and throughout the week I will go through and make an actual legitimate guide that you guys can follow. That way it'll be more beneficial to look at that. But for now, until T2 comes out, I'm not going to be really able to give you guys anything that's more in depth than what's here. If you guys have any questions though about like how to make the character work, what rotations do, if you're having trouble with making this thing come through in PvP, when I ask, I'll let you guys know what I figured out. I mainly focus on the arena and like at best like Dominion events. I don't do boonstones or large scale PvP because the guild I'm in doesn't really participate in that. So far in small scale PvP this class works. I don't know how it works in large scale PvP, but from what I understand with large scale PvP, most classes are just getting rolled over by the flash waves. I find this fun. I was originally going to be a paladin, which is great sword, wand, but admittedly I did not give that as much of a chance because I was not liking the way dots were working, and I probably would have to find a nice DPS wand, which the only one I've seen was a boss drop. What I will say is that I don't like the way this game does gearing your character. I don't like the limitations on the dungeon contracts. I don't like the fact that even though it has like a Final Fantasy 14 like system where you theoretically could have every weapon on one character, it is actually impossible to do that on one character just because of all the time gating and the limitations of the resources required to actually properly gear up your weapon mastery and your weapons themselves and your skill books and all that stuff there. That it's not fun thinking about the fact that, yeah, right now my character is kind of dwindling at the end of its rope, and it's kind of gated by content not being available, and yet there's not much for me to do besides make an alt, and quite frankly I don't want to make an alt. So that's where we're at. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you guys have any questions at all, leave it in the comment section below. If you guys have anything you want me to make a video on, or want me to do some more PvP footage, because I have hundreds of hours of PvP footage, I just put a quick montage up of something that you guys could see, let me know. I'll do that for you. Have yourselves a good morning, and if this is the only video you watch me today, a good afternoon or a good night.